Who doesn't love to be among the trees? I certainly do. I love the smells, the filtered light, the muffled sounds. I love the songs of the birds, the animal traces, the hiding places. There's one problem, however. The trees block our vision. If trees be the details of the information age, then we are all in the forest these days. For lovers of knowledge, there's no better time to be alive. But there's a danger inherent in all of this, of losing the big picture perspective that gives meaning to all the details. I used to love hiking in the mountain forests, but as soon as I would enter the forest, I would find myself looking for some viewpoint, some vantage point where I could see the lay of the land, where my vision was unimpeded. I would like to think that this is actually the story of my life as a theorist, as a teacher, as a therapist, as a parent, as a grandparent. I don't know if this is true or not, but I know it has been my yearning, my longing, my overarching desire to not let the details get in the way, to transcend the details, to be able to get a glimpse of the big picture. So what have I seen? That, if widely known, I believe would revolutionize our school system, transform our daycare system, would restore natural intuition to parenting. I can think of no simpler way of saying this than relationship matters. We are creatures of togetherness. We long, or creatures of attachment, we long for togetherness and are stung by its lack. There is no greater need than holding on when we're apart, and no greater stress than facing separation with those that we're attached to. Relationship is the context in which learning naturally occurs. Parenting becomes easier, therapy becomes effective, well-being becomes a possibility. Relationship is the context in which children were meant to be raised, brought to their full potential, and that includes learning potential. But first, a simple story. I have had the wonderful opportunity to be involved in the care of my grandchildren. But one particular situation humbled me greatly. When two of our grandsons were yet in their infancy, and their mothers had asked me to step up to the plate, so to speak, to assist with their care, I was wonderfully embraced by one and completely repelled by the other. This grandson who resisted closeness with me absolutely sabotaged my care. Despite my best efforts, I was a source of stress for him, actually making matters worse rather than better. It was completely opposite with the other grandson. Yet I was the same person, in the same role, with the same skill set, the same credentials. But none of this is what matters the most in the end. All that counted for this grandson of mine was that it didn't feel right to be taken care of by me. It didn't matter that I was his grandfather. It didn't matter my education or training. It didn't matter that I had written a book. It didn't even matter that I loved him with all my heart. The bottom line was that he was not attached sufficiently enough to me to render him receptive to my care. In other words, I was stymied because I did not have his heart, and so I could not do my job. We were never meant to take care of children whose hearts we did not have, and that includes our teenagers. When they are not in right relationship with us, their instincts are to resist us, to oppose us, to shy away from us. We cannot make them feel at home with us. We cannot be a source of comfort to them. Their instincts, they lack the instincts to be good for us. Consider these puzzling phenomena. Step-parenting is undoubtedly the most difficult profession on earth. Peer-oriented children are incredibly challenging to parent, and foster children, at least as a group, are the most problematic of all. How can we make sense of all of this? Relationship matters. When parenting works, it works when it does, and doesn't work when it doesn't because of relationship, pure and simple. We have been parenting for thousands of years, yet probably never knew what to do. The parents of yesteryear undoubtedly bluffed it, but they had something that we can no longer take for granted, and that is the hearts of their children. The culture of yesteryear did its job of attaching children to the adults responsible for them. Our culture has fallen down on that job. It serves the dollar more than relationship. Consider this as well. We have thousands upon thousands of books on the subject of raising children, including mine. We have Google to boot. We have more information than ever before, more access to information than ever before, more experts telling us what to do, and despite all of this, parenting is getting harder. The reason is deceptively simple. We are losing the context in which to raise our children. And in response to this, we are looking for answers in all the wrong places. We are asking, what should I do, rather than how can I be the answer to this child's relational needs? We are looking for answers rather than stepping up to be their answer. We are asking what to do when things go wrong, rather than how do I hold on to them when problems arise. If relationship matters, then we need to take precautions to preserve it. If relationship matters, we need to be diligent to work within it. We need to be able to engage their attachment instincts before proceeding any further. In this post-industrialized age, we have come to think that the context for working with children is our role with them rather than their relationship to us. We have come to believe that knowledge is power. This simply is not so, not in parenting and teaching. Our natural power derives from one source only, and that is their relationship to us. Relationship matters not only because it makes children easier to work with, but relationship also matters because it is a context in which maturation was meant to happen. Like the mother's womb for the unborn fetus, the child's relationship to a caring adult creates a psychological womb which, when conditions are conducive, a maturation will occur. When we step up to be the answer to their relational needs, their hungers to be with, to be like, to be part of, to matter, to be invited, to be known. Nature, as in the developmental process, can get on with the job of growing our children up, becoming their own person, standing on their own 2 feet, relating to others as separate individuals. Our youngest son put these dynamics into words once when, as a 5-year-old, he proclaimed to his mother, "Mommy, when you hold me like that, it makes me want to fly." It seems that the details of parenting and teaching have eclipsed the role of nature in all of this. It is nature's job to grow our children up. Our job is to provide the relational womb, None of us can make growth happen in ourselves or in our children. What we can do is cultivate fulfilling relationships, and if we do, nature can do its job in growing them up. Well, what are the implications for school in all of this? What must we remember amidst the explosion of detail? For starters, one of the things that we seem to be losing sight of is the very important developmental construct of school readiness. What children need to bring to school for learning to result is a sense of curiosity about their world, a sense of agency in their life, the ability to learn from mistakes, the capacity for tempered feelings and thoughts. These attributes are not genetic. You can't blame your mother-in-law. These attributes are not taught. They cannot be taught, rather. These attributes are a fruit of true maturation, which in turn is the outcome of fulfilling relationships. In other words, in many ways, school readiness is a function of how much true maturation has taken place at home. We have never been so advanced in terms of curriculum pedagogy and technology, and we've never had the most trained students, or rather teachers. And yet teaching is getting harder, or at least it seems to, from those who have been around for some time. Consider this, that children learn more in their first 4 years of life informally than all the rest of their formal education put together. And children who are taught at home actually do better academically than children who are taught at school. How can we explain this? There's only one way to explain this. Relationship matters. First and foremost, there is no other explanation. Schools wouldn't be having so much difficulty if teachable children were being delivered to their doors. And by teachable, I mean ready and able to learn from those that they are not attached to. But when parents learn lose the context in which to raise their children, schools lose out on getting the most teachable children delivered to their doors. And it would not be such a devastating blow, even that, if there was a rich culture of student-teacher relationships to be able to compensate for its lack. But that, too, has suffered a considerable blow in our society. And so we have many stuck children these days who are falling through the attachment cracks of the educational system. Let me reiterate, the immature, no matter what their age, need to be attached to their teachers for learning potential to be realized. In other words, learning follows attachment. We attend to those to whom we are attached. We talk like those to whom we are attached. We take on the same form of those we are attached. We are open to be influenced by those we are attached, and we adopt the values of those we are attached to. It matters relatively little the skill of the teacher, their education or training, their pedagogical approach, or the technology that are using. This shouldn't come as a surprise to us, because the evidence of the power of student-teacher relationships is actually not in question. This is not only the case for the preschooler, but also for the adult learner. This still holds true for the high school student and even for the university student. The problem is that this perspective has been lost in the explosion of details around how to teach, what to teach, when to teach, and how to employ today's technology to teach. Perhaps that's why Socrates could see the perspective, because his vision wasn't so blinded by all the details we have to contend with today. As legend has it, when Socrates was confronted on the failure of his Socratic method to produce the desired results in a particular student of his, he is said to have retorted, "But I couldn't teach him. He didn't love me." In other words, relationship mattered most. Is this the simple but profound truth we are in danger of losing in all the details? That we must have the hearts of our students to get access to their minds? Could this be the secret of the master teacher? Like Socrates, I think that many of us actually know this, at least at some level. Take our own children, for example. In September, at the start of school, we wait with bated breath not to find out how many degrees or what degrees the teacher has, what their pedagogical approach is, not their teaching style, not what's on the curriculum, not the technology that they are using, but we wait with bated breath to find out about one thing only. Does our child like the teacher and think the teacher likes him? Intuitively, we know that this matters more than anything else in the learning equation, and we are right. The irony is that while teaching happens in the context of school, learning, at least for the immature, happens in the context of relationship. These two contexts have drifted apart in our society, and we need to bring them back together again. We will need to cultivate a culture of student-teacher relationships to be able to do this. We will also need to remember that as teachers, it is not what we do, but who we are to our students that counts the most. I think that many parents and teachers actually know this intuitively, that relationship is the answer. But it's not enough anymore for this knowledge to be stuck at an intuitive level. Our world has changed. Culture no longer serves the formative relationships that a child requires. We need words more than ever. Without words, we cannot change policy and practice. Without words, we lack the confidence to swim against the stream. Without words, we begin to doubt ourselves and lose our way. I hope that this is my contribution, to be able to provide some words that are true to the science of our age, yet resonate deeply with natural intuition. Words that describe the emerging picture when the dots are joined, when the details give way to perspective. The good news about relationship is that it's never too late. There's always something we can do. It always begins with getting a convincing invitation across to them, to the other, that they are invited in our presence and that nothing will come in between. If we keep this in mind, it will automatically inform our steps. We can afford to relax a little bit. We need not be so concerned about holding on to the details, because in this case the truth is not in the details, but in the big picture which exists whether we are aware of it at any given time or not. We don't have to ask so many questions about what to do, because, once again, it is who we are to our children that counts the most. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to share with you what I have seen when the details haven't got in the way. Thank you.